here, you can manually input information on what is loaded on that station. Back, arm, map, EO power on, and let me know when you've got that accomplished. Once you've done that, roll down to the weapon, hit enter on the USB. Let me know when you're there.
Aircraft type on first contact. Nellis Air Force Base information Romeo, time 2055. Winds calm. Visibility greater than 10 miles. Scattered 7,000 feet. Temperature 41. Dew point 13. Altimeter 3037. Runways in use 03 left, 03 right. Expect visual approach. Acknowledge receipt of information Romeo and advise aircraft type on first contact.
Tusk, check in. Two's up on 5. Copy you, 5x5. Same. Dude, are you ready to do this? Shit, yeah. No offense. I was getting a little bored with all the systems and stuff. Me too. But first, we have to learn how to fly and navigate the jet before we can put warheads on foreheads, make the enemy die for his country, turn those assholes into hair, teeth, and eyeballs, and all of that other oorah shit. I can't wait. But before we can do that, let's go ahead and press on with the startup. Just let me know when you're ready for taxi, but stand by in that taxi clearance since there's some things we're going to want to cover while we're still in the shock. Raj. Okay, good jet and ready for taxi. Cool. So for today, we're going to get a brief overview on a few things here in the chocks, but we're not going to spend too much time on this. We'll head out and drive toward the range. En route, we'll cover how I want you to fence in and out in the Charlie. Then we'll cover how to check into and out of the live firing ranges, plus the rules and procedures for employing at the range. If everything goes well up to that point, we'll get some time on the trigger and expend some 30 mil. I've been waiting for this. It's been a while since I've got on the gun and smelled cordite in the pit. There's nothing like it, and it never really leaves you. I can think of worse ways to spend a fine summer's day. So on to business, shall we? Let's do it. Okay, so the first thing I'd like to draw your attention to is the DSMS, or Digital Stores Management System. DSMS replaces the armament control panel you're familiar with in the A10A. If you don't mind, on the left MFCD, press OSB 14 to get us into the DSMS page, and we'll move forward. Okay, I'm now on the DSMS page. Cool, provided you didn't press anything else, we should be looking at the DSMS main page. Here we can see some of the basic information regarding what stores we're carrying for today's sortie. DSMS is the construct that allows us to view and change most things weapons related. The other thing we'll use for that stuff is the IFC. We'll have a brief look at the IFC today, but we're mostly just going to stick to the DSMS. At its most basic level, DSMS tells us what we're carrying, where we're carrying it, how many we have, and the status of each weapon. DSMS also allows us to create and save up to 20 unique profiles. When we select a weapon to employ, we're actually selecting a specific profile for that weapon and not the bomb or rocket itself, so to speak. Not sure I'm 100% on that. Can you explain it a little better? Sure. So if we're carrying Mark 82 Airs, we'll have only the one default profile when we load the DCS, and that profile is for high drag, CCIP, no safe escape maneuver, etc. With DSMS, we can build numerous profiles for that one bomb. We can have a ready-made profile for high drag and another for low drag, CCIP, CCRP, so on and so forth. Once that profile is built and saved without doing anything else, we can simply activate which profile we want using EMS left or right if the HUD is soy, and drop it in high or low drag configuration with just that button press. You can also name each profile so we know what we're looking at. Continuing with this example, I may name one 82LD for my low drag option, and the other 82HD for releasing that bomb in high drag mode. Is that a little better? For sure, I'm tracking now. Awesome. I'm not going to tell you every scenario where you'd want to build multiple profiles, but take advantage of it when you can. If you want to have different view settings, profiles for different sleds, or even a ripple pairs profile, then you may want to consider building profiles to suit those needs. Roger, that seems handy enough. Indeed. Within Dismas here we have 4 primary pages and numerous subpages. The 4 primary pages are the missile control page, which of course controls our missiles. The selective jettison page, which allows us some options when it comes to what we jettison and how we'll do it. The inventory select page lets us mess with the inventory on a station-by-station basis. It also allows us to access some handy options for some of our munitions like CBUs and LGBs. And lastly, we have the status page, which we're on now, or we should be. Verify that you're on the status page by confirming that you do not see stat under OSB 1. Yep, I'm on the status page. Word. So the status page will show us what is loaded on each of our 11 stations, and the status of each weapon, as well as the remaining round count and status of the gun. Our active profiles, release settings, and EO time for the 65s, if the maps are active, are also displayed here. Each station number is on the outer edge of each box. Starting in the bottom left, we have Station 1, and all the way over on the bottom right, next to OSB 10, we have Station 11. Looking at Station 8, next to OSB 7, we see BDU 33 on the top line inside of the box. This indicates that we are carrying BDU 33s on that station. Under that, we see TER, signifying that they are being carried on the Brew 42 triple ejector rack, and on the inside of that box, we see 3, which says there are 3 bombs remaining on that station. You still awake? Oh yeah, hanging on every word. I believe it. Down in the bottom center, we should see 1150 TP, indicating that we have 1,150 rounds of training ammo remaining. Also notice the text is green and there are no red or nasty messages like a bunch of X's, which means our gun is FMC or good to go, whereas the X's indicate your gun's bent. In the center of the display we should see guns and weapons off in a white box. Gun signifies which HUD mode we are in, and weapons off means that our master arm switch is off. Does all that look about right? Yeah, I'm mirroring you so far. Great, press the mode button on the stick to cycle to the different master modes and you'll see that change. Also, putting the master arm switch down will put us into training mode, which will say weapons off, but in a nice pretty blue box, and you'll get another blue outline box with text that says training up above it. Flipping the switch into the arm position will show weapons off, just in a green box, and ground safe up above it, since we have the ground safety override switch in the off position. What's with the weapons off if the master arm is armed? Well, that's because we don't have a weapons profile selected. If we did, you'd see that profile name where it says weapons off. Take note, it will say the profile name and not the weapon type unless they are the same. So, from my example earlier, I'd either see that 82LD or 82HD, not Mark 82 ACO. Right on. Backing up a bit again, that line under each box, under the weapon type, like where it says turn on Station 8, can also give a status, like on JDAMs and Wickman. It can also not say anything at all, just depending on what's on that station. Roger. Click OSB 1 one for me to take us into the profile. Alright, I'm in the profiles page. Excellent. Currently we only have 3 profiles. One for the Mavericks, one for the BDUs, and one for the Rockets. Note that we are carrying one each TGM-65 Delta and Hotel. This profile applies for all maps. And even though we're carrying caps, there's no profile settings for Sidewinders. Noted. On the left of the page, you'll see an up and down arrow next to OSB 19 and 20. Use those to select the profile that you want to look at. So press down to get us over to the BDU 33 profile. Okay, I've got the arrow next to it. Good, so now we should see a few options here. At OSB 3 we have View Profile. OSB 9 allows us to turn the profile on or off. And at OSB 17 we have an option to activate that profile. So are you seeing the same thing? Affirm. Beautiful. Okay, so turning the profile on and off does just that. With it on, while cycling through our weapons profiles, we'll see it and can use it. If we turn it off, we won't be able to select it and employ that profile, and it won't be there when we're scrolling through our profiles unless we turn it back on. Pro is what activates the profile or turns it back on for employment. Make sense? Yep, making sense so far. Alright, go ahead and hit OSB 3 for me. We should now find ourselves in the BDU 33 weapons profile page, yes? Roger. Very nice. The first thing I want to draw your attention to is the profile table. The table displays the release parameters for that profile. Note that the parameters you see within this table that are not underlined can only be adjusted within the inventory page, which we'll look at here in a bit. Understood? Below this table you'll see 11 little boxes. Each box represents a station, and the green boxes you see for stations 4 to B indicate that we have BDUs on those stations. Back up at the top we see selections at OSB 1 and 2 that will take us back to the DSMS status page and the main profile pages respectively. Copy. So, on the right we see options for ripple settings, fusing, and release modes at OSB 6, 7, and 10. Press OSB 6 for me 6 times, please. As you press it, you'll see it cycle through singles, pairs, ripple singles, ripple pairs, and you should wind up on ripple singles. Stop here, you see that we now have options to adjust the ripple quantity and the release spacing interval. Also at the top next to OSB 3, we should now have a save option, which should be flashing. Does that all jive with what you've got? I'm jiving so hard. Good to hear. Press OSB 16 for me labeled CHGSET for change profile settings. Okay, I'm in another page now. That's what we wanted. Okay, so here we can adjust some more things, like our safe escape maneuver, desired time of flight, and minimum time of fall, and some other values for rack delay, vertical and lateral offsets, and eject velocity. We'll get a little deeper into a lot of this stuff when the time comes, but for now, just hit OSB 3 to save that profile, then hit OSB 1 again to get back to the status page. Let me know once you're there. Okay, I'm back on the status page. Right on. Now press OSB 5, and this should take us to the inventory page. Here, you can manually input information on what is loaded on that station and adjust settings for some of our munitions. So, let's tell the jet we have a G12 GAU-12 on Station 6. Let me know when you're on the inventory page and ready to go. Okay, I'm there and ready to press. Nice. Press OSB 3 for me. Once you've done that, you'll find yourself in the inventory select page, yes? Yep. Okay, so one nice thing about DSMS is that it knows what we can put on that station and what we can't. For instance, here on Station 6, there is no option to load a map or a Wickman. For this example, though, we're going to load a GAU-12. So, looking on the right side, we see GAU next to 6. Inside of that page, we have options for GAU-10 and 12. Press OSB 19 for GAU-12, and give me a heads up when you're that far. Looks like I'm in the GAU-12 inventory page. Perfect. Here we can see all kinds of options for fuses, CCG series, etc. We're only going to worry about the PRF here, so remember how in the profile table we had things that were not underlined that had to be changed inside of the inventory page? PRF is one of them. Hey, you're not as stupid as you look. Not the first time I've heard that. I'm not surprised. So, using the UFC, let's type in 1121 and then press OSB 7 to input that. Yep. Excellent. Press OSB 9 to load that into DSMS. Okay, I've done that, and I get a DSMS stat page, and my GPU is red on Station 6. Yep, that's what we want. What you're seeing is a jet letting you know that something's not correct. It knows there is no GAU-12 on that station. You should also see a red I at the top also. Is that correct? Yeah, above the weapon station box. Yes, that is a failure code which replaces the station number normally in that spot. You can also see an H, P, and F. I indicates a mismatch between the profile and inventory. H signifies a hung store. F is a station fault, and P means there is no profile for that weapon loaded on the station. Copy. Alright, hit OSB 1 and get back to the status page. Then press OSB 5 again to go back into the inventory select page and go to our Station 6. In OSB 5, you'll see an option to clear that station. Go ahead and do that to clear out our mistake. This should take you back to the main inventory page and you'll see nothing in Station 6. Done. And Station 6 shows empty. Word. Okay, if you haven't already done so on the A10C2, put the TGP switch into the on position to power up the targeting pod. If you're just now applying power to it, it will take a few minutes to come online. Bring up the TGP page on one of your MFCDs and let me know once it's powered up. When it is, you should see a blank page with options at the top for control, air to ground, etc. Let me know when we're on the same page, so to speak. Okay, it looks like the pod is powered up now. Excellent. Right now the pod is powered up, but in standby mode as indicated by the green box encompassing SY underneath OSB 3. In standby mode, the ball will show itself facing backwards, and you'll not get video or anything else from the targeting pod. To enable the pod, simply press OSB 2 or 4 to put it into air to ground or air to air mode respectively. Go ahead and put it in air to ground mode for me. Okay, it looks like things have have happened. Yep, that's what we're looking for. You should now see a video from the pod and a lot of other stuff we'll get into later. Go ahead and put the pod back into standby mode, and when ready, we'll go over the last thing in the chalk for today. Pod is in standby, and I'm ready to press. Good deal. So the last thing we're going to discuss before we roll out, be it briefly, is the CMS. As you'd imagine, the countermeasure systems are very important to our survivability in non-permissive environments. The Charlie has an outstanding defensive system. The CMSP and CMSC are carryovers from the Suite 2A model, but here in the Charlie on top of that we also have the MWS, or Missile Warning System. I imagine the MWS is a huge asset. Damn right it is. I've heard from a few bros that it saved their bacon downrange. Just remember though that it is not omniscient. It does have its blind spots and shortcomings, but using it as a supplement to you and your wingman's odds, it should make you that much harder to kill. Roger. So, looking forward, the first things you'll see are the CMSC countermeasures set control just under the USD and the RWR to the left of that. Now on the right console, ahead of the caution light panel, you'll find the countermeasures signal processor. This controls all of your defensive systems. It also allows you to alter your defense programs, control how the systems react to threats, tell you how much chaff and flare you have left, and other shit. So is this like Dismas, but for your chaff and flare and things? Yeah. Well, sorta yes and sorta no. There's not a whole awful lot we can do here compared to the things we can do with Dismas, but it definitely has some flexibility. Suffice it to say, the system does not leave a lot to be desired. Understood. I'm sure it'll become clear once I start using it in practice. Oh, for sure. Most things in this jet are very intuitive. It seems that way the more I learn about the Charlie and its systems. Yeah, she's a sweetheart. Okay, so back at it. CMSP. On the bottom right corner of that panel, you'll find the gray mode selector dial. Place that bitch into the standby position. Alright, CMS is up and standby. Alright, looking at the screen at the top called the alphanumeric display, you should see it displaying MWS, jammer, RWR, and dispensers indicating off when you turn it on. After a brief pause, it will default to a screen that shows your countermeasures count and stuff. Is that what you've got? Affirm. Go ahead and move the MWS, RWR, and dispenser system select switches into their on positions, please. As you do this, you should see each of them say ready. Give me a heads up when you are ready to press. One thing I forgot to mention, or rather, two things. We leave the laser unarmed on the TGP and the jammer switch in the off position here on the ramp, as they have the potential to do bad things to the sweaty. I suppose that could be bad. Switches are set. On the alphanumeric display, you should again see the counters for your chaff and flare. Next to flare, you have OTR1, which does not concern us, and finally, our currently selected countermeasures program. In our case, we should see A above it. That's what I'm seeing. Excellent. Again, closely tied to the CMSP is a radar warning receiver and CMSC, both of which are located on the front dash. The CMSC repeats some of the info found on the CMSP and adds a bit more, but for now, that's going to have to be the limit of our discussion on the countermeasure system, as we're running a bit behind. Roger that. Sorry if I'm slowing us down. Nope, not at all. I have a tendency of talking a bit too much, so it's my fault. So with that being said, let's grab A10C and get rolling. Once you've got it, give me a heads up. Roger.
Dew point 13. Altimeter 3037.
Alright, I've got A10C. Want me to go ahead and hit up clearance delivery? Please and thank you. Also, I'm not sure if I've told you, but we're looking for IFR to dog bone. Raj, stand by on 289er put for. Now is clearance, Tusk 2. Tusk 2, go ahead for clearance. Tusk 2 is IFR to dog bone. Tusk 2, clearance, clear to dog bone via the fighter for departure as filed. Expect range entry through 63 Bravo. Climb and maintain Angels 14. Departure on 385.4 squawk 4004. Clearance, Tusk 2 is cleared to dog bone via fighter for departure. Range entry expected to be via 63 Bravo. Climb and maintain Angels 14. Departure on 385.4 squawk 4004. Thanks. Tusk 2, read back corrected. Contact ground on 275.8. See ya. Still with me, boss? Yep. Roger, push ground. Nellis ground, Tusk 2 is 2 A10s at Thunder with Romeo, ready for taxi to 03 right. Tusk 2 ground, Romeo's current, clear Charlie Golf Alpha, hold short 03 right. Ground, Tusk 2 taxi Charlie Golf Alpha, hold short 03 right. Let's do it. One's rolling. Man, there's something sinister looking about buffs with loaded shoulder pylons. Especially when they're Calkins. Yeah, no shit. That usually means something's getting ready to pop off. Exactly. Tusk 2, contact Nellis Tower 327.7. Tower on 327.7 for Tusk 2. Switch to tower. 2. You ready? Give me 1 second. Alright, 2's ready. Nellis Tower, Tusk 2, holding 03 right, ready for departure. Tusk 2, Winscom, cleared for takeoff, runway 3 right. Tusk 2, clear for takeoff, 03 right. Tower. Contact departure 385.4. Departure of 385.4, Sun 2. Balance departure of Tusk 2 with you to the northwest for Dogbone. Tusk 2, balance departure, radar contact, continue direct for fighter, climb and maintain Angel 1-4. Departure, Tusk 2, proceed direct to fighter, climb and maintain Angel 4. Alright, ready to pick up the training while we should have a few minutes? Yep, let's start that right-hand turn for fighter and go ahead with the lesson. We'll start out with fence checks. To rehash what I'm sure you already know, fence is an acronym that stands for fire control, electronic warfare, navigation, communication systems, and lastly, measures. Again, I know you know all this, but with all the new Gucci shit in Charlie, there's going to be different stuff to check. Fair enough. You may proceed. Thanks. Okay. So we're just going to go through the steps here so don't actually flip any switches. We'll do that when we get a little bit closer to the range. As I was saying, what you actually do fencing in and out is different than what you're used to in the Alpha. In the Charlie for F, we're going to arm the master arm pack for the gun, power up the map, and arm the laser for the EPP. Cool. Here's where we'll set up the CMS for use, like selecting modes, profile, camera settings, etc. Gotcha. For N, we ensure that our navigation systems are good to go. This would include things like the TAD map being centered and scaled, hooks and TAD set as required, saddle, Iggy, AAP, and CPU all working and configured as required. So good so far? Yep. C is for communications. Here we look at each of our radios, making sure that they are set accordingly, and also the KY-58 if we're using it. Last is going to be anything that emits for E. This is going to be things like external lights and TAC-ins. Copy all. Alright, right turn, reference Tier 6. principal state. Contact Blackjack 3778 for Tusk 2. Go to 377.8. Roger, I'm there. Blackjack, Tusk, enter 6-3 Bravo and fly direct for dog mode until 1400. We'll keep an eye out for traffic.
Tusk 2, Blackjack, you guys are clear at the range up until 1430. Everything else was correct though.
1430, Tusk 2. Alright, putting what we just learned into practice, let's fence in together step by step. Ready? Let's do it. Okay, actually flipping switches this time. Fire control. Master arm, arm. Laser arm, arm. Gun pack, arm. Mav EO power on. And let me know once you've got that accomplished. Done. Electronic warfare, jammer, RWR, MWS, and dispensers all on. Mode set to manual, semi-auto, or auto as desired. Countermeasures profile and ECM mode selected as required. Alright, everything's good there. Navigation, TAD, saddle, AGI, AAP, and CDU, all happy and set up as desired and required. Flight plan sequencing set to manual if need be, which we'll discuss later. Roger, I'll get there. Comms, radios configured as needed, frequencies set. Check. And finally emitters, exterior lights off, TACAN off, and that's it. Usually the lead will call fence in and state his or her fuel. Each person then will report when fenced in and state their fuel only if they are more than 500 pounds plus or minus from what lead calls their fuel list. Roger, lead is fenced in. Fly us Tier 7 set up in orbit once we get there. This will put us at about 14,000 feet, 10 miles or so away from the lake. At a good vantage point to have a look at what we're fixing to get into. Roger. Alright, let's anchor here. Enter an orbit for me, please, and let me know when you're ready to talk about our tasks for today.
One is ready.
Cool. Up off the nose, you see a lake bed. Notice that it's orientated north to south, and that it's narrow in the middle and has two distinct bulges on the ends, making it resemble a dog bone.
Pretty creative.
I thought so. Today we'll be working on the northern end. On the eastern edge of that northern bulge, you'll see some roads coming off towards the east. 1 mile down that road it stops, and there you'll find the target we're going to be working today. This will be a Baltic. That T-55 is going to have triple stacked containers bracketing it to the north, south, and west to help you find it. Again, the tank in the middle of those is our target, not the containers.
I think I can manage. Shoot the tank, not the containers, right?
A-firm, but since we're up here in a stable orbit, let's go ahead and look at what we can do with the gun and some other stuff in the IFC menu. When ready, place the IFC switch into the test position. Once you've done that, scroll down to Weapon and hit Enter on the UFC. Let me know when you're there.
Okay, I'm on a page that says weapons at the top and then 30 Mike Mike Tango Papa.
Good deal. Make sure the caret is next to your 30 Mike Mike and hit Enter one more time on the UFC for me, please. This should now put us into the IFC 30 mil page.
Alright, I'm there.
Starting from the top, we can see options for type of ammo, manufacturer, pack, minimum altitude, remaining rounds, round counter reset, and a store or save option. Today, we're only concerned with the minimum altitude. Scroll down to it and adjust it to 5,100 feet using the data rocker on the UFC. Note that it is adjustable in 100-foot increments and that it is in mean sea level, not ATL. Our target's elevation is about 3,600 feet MSL. Putting that 5,100 feet into the IFC should give us indications for the 1,500-foot ATL4 that we're looking for. When you're done, scroll down to Store and hit Enter.
Set and stored. Looks like I'm back in the weapons menu.
So go ahead and scroll down and hit Exit for me. This should put us back into the FC main menu. Let me know when you're there.
Alright, I'm back at the main menu.
The last thing we're going to mess with in the IFC today is going to be the CIT gun cross Colt. Setting this to in for no will keep things like a C marker from being obstructed by the gun cross. It's handy if you're trying to gun something that's hard to see but you have a C on it, like an asshole with a man pad standing on the edge of a tree line or something. I'll leave it up to you if you want to use it today or not. You ready to have a look at it though?
Still in the main menu and I'm ready.
Scroll down to Display Modes and hit Enter for me. You're now in the Display Modes menu page. Here you see all kinds of things, but what we're interested in is second from the top. DCIP Gun Cross Colt. Scroll to it and hit the data rocker switch to cycle it to N. Hit Exit when done, and Bob's your uncle.
There's no need to save it or anything?
Nope, not in the Display Modes page. If you're interested, you can set up some of the options in there to your liking. I usually fly with the Radal tape on, for instance.
Cool, thank you.
And now for a word on range etiquette. As I'm sure you already know, range procedures are pretty important. Each range has different restrictions on what we can do there and how we can do it. On some ranges, we may not be able to shoot HEI, or we may not be able to use the laser. On some, they may have moving targets and even shoot smoky SAMs up at us. The ranges here are pretty liberal with what we can and can't do, which allows for a lot of flexibility. We'll be using a few different ranges around the NCCR because of what each range offers. One is going to be closer to Creech, where we'll do some hot pits. Some of the others offer different targets and threats that we can practice against. Today we'll be on Dogbone Lake. There's one just to the north of it called 61 Bravo, and one to the north of Creech called Fat.
That's hilarious.
It's pretty ridiculous. Anyway, sometimes we'll have a range control officer or RCO down there who we'll coordinate with. Oh, and there's supposed to be a JTAC unit coming through at some point that hopefully we'll get to work with.
That'd be awesome if it happens.
Yeah, it would be a great training opportunity for all involved. It should go without saying, but just in case, if we're up here working with an RCO, JTAC, or any other controlling entity, we have to abide by their directions and restrictions. All of the coordination and planning should be done days prior to the sortie. We should step with a pretty solid game plan on what we're going to be doing, who is going to be there, and how we're going to be doing it. Just like anything else, though, shit does change from time to time. The RCO will give us a heads up on any changes to the game plan. Just make sure if he gives you a final attack heading that you fly that damn heading, or anything else they tell you to do.
Roger.
Range usage is coordinated through opposites to Blackjack as part of the flying schedule. Blackjack should give us range clearance when they give us entry into the NCCR just like they did today. They should tell us what range we're cleared on, what times we're good for, and if there's any other applicable information that we might want to know about. Like the helicopter traffic to our north we got earlier with their range entry clearance. For shit like what we're doing today, we're just going to go up here and practice some initial weapon stuff. We'll keep all the restrictions pretty simple. We'll have a final attack heading, but we'll keep the simple flying user patterns around the range. We're just egressing back to the hole for 4-hour task. Nothing fancy until we get some of this shit nailed down.
Sounds pretty reasonable.
The last thing we need to do before we get started today is to let Blackjack know that we're pushing over to the range freak and make a call on that freak, letting know any traffic in the area that we're here and that we're going to be using it. We'll monitor that frequency until we're done here, then we'll pop back over to 377.8 and recontact Blackjack. Go ahead, let Blackjack know, then push 234.25 and make an announcement for Dogbone.
Blackjack, Tusk 2 is on station at Dogbone, switching to the range freak. Tusk 2, Blackjack copy. Have fun.
Dogbone traffic, Tusk 2 is on station 10 miles to the south, Angels 14 for gun runs Dogbone.
How was that?
Moving on. Ready, going to drop down, heavily starting here. We're cleared all the way down to 500 feet ATL, so get as low as you need, so long as you stay above that. I'm going to orbit up here. If you're comfortable with the range and you're ready to get with it, let me know.
Roger.
on the target and ready to set up for an attack. Alright, real quick before I clear you in, let's talk about the CCIP gun reticle, which I forgot earlier. Come on, dude. I know, dude. Sorry to be a cocktease.
Warning, autopilot.
So, CCIP gun reticle is the default reticle for the gun, and it offers the most information. Go ahead and ensure that you're in gun master mode and get yourself into an altitude where you can see it as we talk about it. Something like 4,000 feet AGL should work nice. Alright, set and ready to press. Looking at the reticle and working our way inward, we have a circle with lines extending out of it from 12, 9, 6, and 3 o'clock. These lines are ranging marks that when used as the analog range bar, which is the inner circle, indicate 12, 9, 6, and 3,000 foot slant ranges. As you close inside of the 12,000 foot mark, the analog range bar will unwind in a counterclockwise direction. The vertical marks just inside of the analog range bar at 3 and 9 o'clock are your moving target index marks. These indicate the proper offset to hit a vehicle moving at 20 knots perpendicular to your flight path. Finally, in the center we have the pipper, which of course is where our bullet should impact. Just put the thing on the thing and squeeze the trigger. With me so far? Yep, hanging on every word. As you should be. I forgot to mention it, and it should be noted that when you are carrying combat mix, you will see 2 pipper dots in the center of the reticle. One of these indicates where your ATI rounds will land, and the other is where the ATI bullets are going. The ATI has a flatter trajectory, so it will be the upper dot. And as you close in, those 2 dots eventually will coalesce. Noted. The last 2 things we're going to go over on the CCIP gun reticle are the minimum range cue and the digital range indication. At the bottom of the reticle, you can see a digital number. This is the slant range from the muzzle to wherever the pipper is. Take notice that the range bar is in feet and the range at the bottom is in miles. We don't really like shooting anything outside of 2 miles, which I'm sure is the same as when you flew the Alpha. Yep, that's unchanged. Yeah, the gun system is pretty much unchanged. I think there's some difference in the vents on the nose, and the cyclic is now locked at 3,900 rounds per minute. No more of the high-low cyclic. The cyclic was fixed rate at 3,900 still when I flew the Hog before, but yeah, I think that's about it. Oh, okay. Well, on to the minimum range view. So, the MRC is going to use that 1,500 feet AGL we put in the DFC earlier as its minimum range. When you input anything other than 0 to the minimum range, you're going to get that minimum range cue off the right-hand side of the reticle. It will start about level with the top of the reticle and fall to the bottom. Its position is a visual indication as to how close you are to the minimum recovery altitude. When it's nailed to the top, you are more than 5 seconds from your set min out. Once you get to 5 seconds out of it, it will start to fall. As it passes the reticle 3 o'clock, you are at the minimum altitude. And when it falls to the bottom, you are more than 5 seconds past your min out. Got it? Yeah, I think so. At the top, you're good. It starts falling inside of 5 seconds to your preset minimum range. At 3 o'clock, you were at the minimum, and anything below that, you busted the minimum. Exactly. Let me get up on my soapbox here before I clear your eyes. Oh, yay. I'm sure you've heard it a million times before, and you'll hear it again after me. It is damn easy to use target fixation when you're on the trigger. Kill too many guys, and it will kill more. Don't be that guy. Use all the tools the jet offers you to avoid that. Hell, there are 3 things in the DCIP gun rental alone that should help mitigate that risk. You've got the analog range bar, the minimum range cube, and the digital range at the bottom. Use those things and pay attention to them. Know when it's time to come off drive and path goes to shit. Understood. One of the brothers I was at DM with damn near went in. He smoked some cactuses with the tail pulling out. Both the horizontal and vertical stabs were all chewed up on the leading edges. That did not go over too well. Yeah, I'd imagine not. At least he walked away and brought the jet home more or less in one piece. A lot of guys don't. On the positive note, I ran out of shit to talk about for the moment. Ready to gun some Russian armor? Shit, yeah. Okay, I'll act as a half-assed RCO since it's been a minute for you, and it's your first time here in dog mode. Let's try and keep our passes resembling something like a landing pattern, with an upwind, downwind, crosswind, and base leg. Keep your final attack heading east to west for 270, plus or minus 30 degrees. So flying attack heading somewhere between 240 and 300. Then come off to the right or back to the north. Sound good? You have control. Final attack headings to the west. Right-hand pattern, so egress north initially, Tusk 2-1. Read that correct. Make a few passes to save about 800 rounds or so we can look at some of the other rectangles. And you're cleared hot when ready. Tusk 2-1's cleared and I'll stop at 800 rounds remaining. Tusk 2-1 is in from the east.
Pull up, pull up. Altitude, altitude. Pull up, pull up. Altitude, altitude.
One is off. Alright, I'm near 800 rounds left, so let's talk about some of the other reticles. Moving on then, we'll next talk about the CCIP gun cross. Make sure the HUD is soy and hit EMS right short for me once, please.
Warning,
Change
autopilot.
the gun reticle to the cross. Set up for that roughly 6,000 feet MSL hold, and let me know when you're ready to look at this a little bit more closely. Alright, looks like I've got the CCIP gun cross up now. As you can see right off the bat, this cross takes up a lot less real estate in the HUD versus the gun reticle, at the expense of less information and aiming cues. Depending on the setup, it may be more advantageous to use it since it's less obstructive. Roger that. Using this, we obviously lose our analog range bar, but we still have our digital slant range in miles displayed at the bottom. We're relegated to using only one pipper even with combat mix, and we don't have the moving target index lines either. We do get to keep our minimum range cue when it's used, and that's about it. So, an X will be displayed in the middle of the gun cross and the solution is out of the HUD's field of view, or when there's no altitude source. So really, the only claim to fame for this is that it's less intrusive on the HUD than the CCIP gun reticle? Yep, that's pretty much it. But sometimes that in and of itself makes all the difference. Have a go with it so I can check that box and we'll move on to the others. Same thing here, shoot another 350 rounds, and save me about 500 left in the drum. Roger that. I'll stop at or around 500. Good shit. Same attack restrictions, keep your fires to the west. Cleared hot when ready. Final attack heading from the east. Tough 2-1. Tough 2-1 is in from the east.
Pull up. Pull up. Altitude. Pull up. Pull up.
One is off. About 500 gun left. I'm happy to move on. Moving along nicely. For the last two rectangles, we'll go over both of them at the same time, since they're not so different, if that's okay with you. Yeah, that sounds great. As long as I get to shoot some more. You bet. So the last two rectangles are the 4A12 gun reticle, and it looks something like the CCIP gun reticle. And the other one is the 4,000 foot gun cross. This is similar in appearance to the CCIP gun cross. First, we'll look at the 4A12 reticle, so sowie the HUD and DMS right one time for me to bring up that reticle. Again, it'll look something similar to the CCIP gun reticle. When you're ready, let me know, and we'll discuss. Okay, I've got it pulled up on the HUD now. The 4A12 reticle, you'll notice, has 3 dots inside of the reticle. These dots are fixed ranged pippers for, you guessed it, 4,000, 8,000, and 12,000 feet, with 12,000 feet being the bottommost dot. Switch over to the 4,000 foot gun cross for me if you don't mind. Alright, it's up. As you can see, the 4,000 foot gun cross looks an awful lot like our CCIP gun cross with two differences. We don't have the range numeric, and the upper crosshair does not make a capital T like the CCIP version does. Now you're probably wondering, why the hell do we need these when you have their CCIP counterpart? Well, I'm gonna tell you. Thank God, I can't stand it any longer. Haha. Suppose you don't have accurate ranging information, like if you're shooting at something on a mountain that's actually above your aircraft. In that instance, you're not going to get a valid or accurate CCIP solution. This is where you'd want to use one of these reticles. When you're at a slant range of 12, 8, or 4,000 feet, you know where those rounds are going to impact. That actually makes sense. Of course it does. Just make sure you're paying attention, smartass. So, we actually have some targets here that I'd like you to use one of those reticles on. At waypoint 10, you're going to find a bunker near the top of the mountain. Run in from the west this time and put a burst on it. Again, make your final attack heading west to east and come in below the target's altitude. Okay, so final attack heading at 090 and approach from below the target. Stay firm. You know what? We've got the time. On your first pass, run in from below and try using either the CCIP gun cross or the CCIP gun reticle. Let me know what happens. You're cleared in dry when ready. Okay, so use one of the CCIP reticles. Clear dry for Tusk 2-1. Off, and I got a message saying CCIP invalid. Alright, that's what I wanted you to see. So this next pass, switch over to either the 4A12 12 gun rectangle or the 4,000 foot gun cross and see how that compares to your pass and CCIP. Save me about 300 rounds on the back end and you're cleared hot. Save 300 rounds and cleared hot.
Pull up. Altitude, altitude.
Okay, attack complete. Alright, return to the hold and we'll talk about a few more aspects of a well-rounded gun path. Let me know once you're established in an orbit at the hold. Okay, I'm orbiting the hold and ready to press. So now you know how to employ the gun at a basic level. The next part is successfully employing it in a tactical scenario. The parameters of a particular situation can and will dictate how you will attack the target. Should you go in with a high or low angle strafe? How long of a burst? Which aspect would be best for you to attack the target from? The list goes on. In a nutshell, the further away you're shooting, the less accurate the gun is. If you're attacking an area target or soft targets, you can get on the trigger at 2 miles. If you're looking at hitting point targets, you'll want to get a little bit closer if the situation permits. For armor, like main battle tank, get in as close as you dare. An ideal path would be a 2-second burst starting at a 4,000 foot slant range. Regardless of where you start shooting, you want to stop shooting at 3,000 feet, or, to quote a friend, you run the risk of flying into your own bullets and or frag, which is usually considered bad form. Slant range is inversely proportional to the bullet's kinetic energy on the target. So, the closer you are to the target, not only do more of your bullets hit where you want them to, but they also hit harder. What about dive angle? We typically either use a low angle strafe up to something like 15 degrees and a high angle strafe, which we like to keep between 20 and 45 degree dive angles. We do have a high 60 profile, which is interesting, especially when you blow the roll in and wind up closer to 80 degrees. Many different factors can determine which dive angles you can use. In most scenarios, the high angle strafe is going to be your preferred choice. Roger. Back to shooting in armor. I forgot to mention that it's best to try and gun them from the side, or better yet, the rear, where their armor is centered, in case you've forgotten that. The GAU is also pretty handy in the anti-personnel role. In this regime, a little round dispersion can be a good thing. So, you may want to employ a long-range, low-angle strafe. Hell, I've even heard of folks turning off packs to better walk around the target area. Just remember, ROEs, terrain, proximity to friendly, weather condition, and a myriad of other factors can always change how you conduct your attack. So you may not always be able to employ how you'd like. So just be flexible and ready to adapt.
For sure. I'm sure being fluid in any situation can have huge dividends in the cast role, or really any other role we may find ourselves in.
Oh, no doubt. In the CAS role, we wind up being that impetus that stirs the change within a fight a lot of the time. That's our goal. We want to remove the enemy from the fight, or at the very least, remove the fight from them. As we do this, the battlefield changes. They may fall back to a different position, or our guys may react and move forward or flank. We need to be ready and capable to react to any change in the ground situation in a quick and accurate fashion. So yeah, fluidity is key. Okay, enough philosophy for today. Let me get you to execute that 20 degree to 45 degree high angle strafe on that 55 hole that we've been playing with. So go ahead, turn inbound, try for a dive angle between 20 and 45 degrees, and give me a 2-second burst at about 4,000. Roger, Tusk 2-1 inbound on P55. Keep your fires to the west, egress back to the hold, you are cleared hot. Tusk 2-1.
Pull up. Pull up, pull up. Altitude, altitude.
Tusk 2-1 is off to the left. Alright, the last thing we need to cover for today is a low angle strafe. Ready to give it a shot? Shit, yeah. Alright then, tip in and give me a gun pass with something near a 15-degree dive angle. Tusk 2-1 is in on P55 for a low angle pass. Tusk 2-1, you're cleared hot, egress back to the hold.
Pull up, pull up. Altitude, altitude. Pull up, pull up. Pull up, pull up.
One's off. Alright, bruh. I think that's all for today. Still have some gun ammo and don't feel like toting it back to Nellis. We still own this range for a little bit longer, so feel free to expend it. So, do you want to RTB and head home, or do you want to make a few more passes? Yeah, I'm ready to head home now. add up CDU into flight plan and anything else you need to do with your navigational aids. For comms, we're going to announce that we're leaving the range and then go back to Blackjack, so stand by on that. Roger, nav is good. For your emitters, go ahead and get the lights on, TACAN up on 12 X-ray for Nellis, and you should be fenced out. Lead's fenced out. Cool. Go ahead and make a call on the range freak announcing us leaving the area, and then let Blackjack know we're leaving the range and heading home. Roger, stand by. Doggo traffic, Tusk 2 is exiting the range to the west Doggo. 2, go to 377.8. I'm there. Blackjack, Tusk 2 is departing Dogboat for Nellis.
Tusk 2, Blackjack. Roger. Proceed to F4 for wrap-up and exit to either Elgin or X-ray pilot discretion.
Direct to Moapa, exit via Elgin or X-ray for Tusk 2. Did you have fun? Oh, hell yeah. There's nothing like shooting the GAU. I love the smell of the cockpit. So badass. It really is. I think you'd be hard-pressed to get on the trigger of a 20-foot-long, 600-pound gun system firing 65 1-foot-long bullets per second and not be grinning ear to ear. I mean, that's putting something like 56 pounds of projectiles on target every second. I can't think of anything more badass than that. For sure. Going back to something we talked about earlier about how armor was centered towards the sides and rear of the tanks. So, back in World War II, the Republic P-47 Thunderbolt, to which the A10 owes its official name, was used later in the war in the anti-armor role. The 8 Browning Mod Deuce 50 calibers were not great at punching through their armor from any aspect. Sounds like that could have been a problem for something in the anti-tank role. Yep, well, the P-47 drivers figured out they could bounce bullets off of the road and into the soft bellies of the tanks using a low-angle strafe and disable tanks that way. Are you making this up? No, I'm serious. That's what they really did. That's hilarious. One other thing before I forget, I'm going to be taking some leave. The family and I are going to meet up with some friends in Washington State and go hang out. Ah, cool. It'll be nice to get away from this hot-ass weather for a bit. Are you guys going to the coastal part or somewhere else? Yeah, no shit. We're going to coastal Washington to do some fishing and camping. It looks like Lotus is going to jump in my place for your next sortie, which should be over Rocket. Right on. She seems pretty squared away. Yeah, she is. She can come across as kind of unassuming, but trust me when I say she's a stone-cold killer. You'll do well to pay attention to what she has to say. I'll do just that.
Tusk 2, Blackjack. You will leave my airspace. Contact Nellis approach altitude 91.725.
Contact approach 291.725 for Tusk 2. See ya. Push departure. You mean approach? Yep, my bad. 2's up. I've got ATIS and I'm back over on approach when you're ready to hit them up. Raj, stand by.
Expect visual approach. Acknowledge receipt of information Tango and advise aircraft type on first contact. Nellis Air Force Base information Tango, time 2255. Winds calm. Visibility greater than 10 miles. Scatter 7,000 feet. Temperature 41. Dew point 13. Altimeter 3021. Runway 03 left. 03 right. Expect visual approach. Acknowledge receipt of information Tango and advise aircraft type on first contact. Nellis Air Force Base information Tango, time 2255. Winds calm. Visibility greater than 10 miles. Scatter 7,000 feet. Temperature 41. Dew point 13. Altimeter 3021. Runway 0.
Orbit for spacing 10 miles out, please.
Tusk 2 copies. 2-2 will orbit at the truck stop. Just acknowledge you copy that, please. Hold at the truck stop as per usual. Yep.
Tusk 2-2, contact tower, 327.70, good day.
Tusk 2-1, switching to tower, see ya. Nellis Tower, Tusk 2-1 is 5 miles out, inbound, full stop. Tusk 2-1, Nellis Tower, winds calm, clear to land runway 21 left, 4 gear down. Clear to land, 2-1 left, gear down, Tusk 2-1.
Altitude, altitude.
2-1 Tower, vacate at Alpha, contact ground when able. Vacate at Alpha and contact ground, Tusk. Ground, Tusk 2-1 is at 21 left in Alpha, looking to taxi back to Thunder. Tusk 2-1, taxi to Thunder via Alpha, Golf, Charlie. Welcome back. Alpha, Golf, Charlie, Tusk 2-1.